As we draw with the line segment tool, we get two endpoints. These are also called nodes. And we have this midway point of this line segment. We can make it a straight horizontal line by holding down Shift. We can also make it a 45-degree line or a vertical line by holding down Shift, and it kind of snaps and locks into place. I also have something turned on that you may want to turn on if you're into aligning things and just kind of consider yourself a neat person and want to organize things. I have smart guides turned on, and I can go up to Illustrator menu and go to Preferences and Smart Guides and turn those on. Under Construction Guides, I have this checked, and I've set this to 30, 60, 90, 120, 150 degrees. You can choose any number of these angles, like 90 and 45, 135. I chose 30. But once you check these construction guides, it's going to tell you with this pink dialog box and these pink lines that are running everywhere when you're aligned with certain things. Like when I'm intersecting that line, it's going to say intersect really small. Now for other people, this may be annoying. Like this is telling me that that's aligned. If I click here, it's going to align with the center of this vertical line. Some people think of this as annoying. So if you do think that way, by all means turn that off and don't go to Smart Guides to check that. It's not mandatory that you do. I'm just letting you know that's what I have turned on and that's what you may see here. Okay. I can do horizontal lines, holding down Shift. And I can also change the width or weight of these strokes that I have here. One way is to add in point size to our strokes in our options bar. And I can just click this up arrow and notice how my line thickness is becoming thicker. Our template has a line thickness of 1. And I don't want to go any thicker than that because it'll become too thick for what we're trying to do. In fact, I'd probably go thinner, but I'm going to leave it at 1 just to keep consistency. I'm doing all of my lines on a new layer, layer 2. If you have multiple layers, many more than this, that's fine too. All of my lines are going on a separate layer. So we've talked about line weight, and we can click this drop down menu and select these kind of preset widths here. There's 100. Let's see what 300 looks like. 300. It's interesting that the thicker we get, the more this starts to take on a shape instead of a line. Like this looks more like a square to me than a line. And so we get some of those same properties. So if this was stretched, maybe now it would be more of a line, or maybe if it was outside of our bounding box, our frame, maybe it would be more of a line. But anyway, I'm just telling you that once you get beyond a certain thickness in graphic design or in any kind of design or artwork, that it may become a shape. Your line may take on the properties of a shape. Okay, let's go to our line menu after we've created some lines. Let me create some more here. And they'll take on the properties of the weight that we've put on there. In our line panel over here, it by default will be compressed and look like this, where we can only change weight here. And if we show options by clicking on these three bars, show options, we get a bunch of other things. We get weight, cap size, corner, align stroke, dash line, arrowheads, and profile. I want to click on dash line just so you can see what this looks like. And we went over this in class, and just by changing the dash and the gap size, we can get and customize an entire range of dashes for our dash line. And it starts to take on and give off a new effect. Maybe we'll change the weight to this just so we can get, and now it becomes a pattern. Dash lines are also implied lines. Implied lines aren't, or can be there, but they don't have to be there. In art speak, implied lines can sometimes be the line that's created between two people that are looking at each other, and so their eyes are meeting, or they can be dashed lines or broken lines. Okay, so that is an implied line we just created by hitting that dash. I'm going to select another line with my selection tool, and I want to apply an arrowhead. Look at all of these arrowheads and ends that we have to help us indicate things. Let's grab this one, number 5. Notice how nice and crisp that is, and we can even do it to both sides. Arrowhead number 5. And so now we have an indication, maybe a distance between 2 points, and indicate a measurement of a unit of some kind. But let's look what happens when we scale this line up in weight. Look how big those arrows get. Kind of create their own cool little shape there, this negative space. But the arrows are too big. The arrows are way too big for the line, and so we need to scale those down. And we do that right here under scale. I'm going to go ahead and link both of these because they're both arrowheads and we need to scale them down. So I'm going to hit the down button and keep my finger held down. Now, what is a good scale depending on the line? Maybe it's 50%. Is it 33%? I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in between. 40%. Maybe that looks good. You will know when it looks good and when it looks just too big. I think 50% would probably be my max, but I like it the best in relationship to the line width. Like I even like that. But that is scaling your arrowheads and your ends. Now for my next line we have profile. Now profile will give you a calligraphic line, or a line that goes from thick to thin or back again. I'm just going to up the weight here. Look how this takes on a shape itself, but this is very much like using a brush pen. And you have different profiles for that. For a profile. The caps are interesting. Cap lines. Let me up the weight here so we can see. Caps are interesting because this first one, which is a rounded cap, gives you a very soft line. Look how those end caps are rounded and they can give you that soft look. A lot of illustrators that do very cute type illustrations of like little animals tend to do line work with these rounded caps on the end, and it is very nice and soft as opposed to this very harsh end that we have on this line segment here. So that may be something you want to use if you're after a soft kind of pillbox type of look to things. Play around with these lines. We've done in class horizontal, vertical, and diagonal, implied, and calligraphic lines. Explore the weight, the cap, and the dash line, arrowheads, and profile to see how many unique lines you can get. Okay, guys, have fun.